All right, welcome back to the Locally Owned Podcast, everybody. I'm Chris Darcey, and today I'm joined by Mr. Burchfield, Moorpark High School teacher, now an author. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So I have a lot that I want to talk to you about, and we're definitely going to get into your career as a high school teacher because that's how I know you best. But I want to talk to you a little bit about your book first.
Okay.
So what inspired you to write this book, and what's it about?
Well, the book itself is a story of my son who passed away in 1996, and some of the miraculous things that happened afterwards, like our Moorpark Little League team going to the Little League World Series, carrying his banner, the neighbors coming to our aid, and us building a bridge over the arroyo, which he drowned in the arroyo. I did a water safety video for that. And then it's just the trials and tribulations of me becoming a teacher and Joel being with me the whole way. There's a section in the book also that, I had a younger son. He was 8 years old at the time. And we had an angel window built and put in Joel's room where my younger son moved into Joel's room. And it kind of looked after, actually Joel came and talked to my younger son also, and helped him, get through life now, and he's doing well. So it's just a combination of that, and also I started a scholarship fund for graduating seniors at Moorpark High School, and we were giving out mainly 2 or 3 scholarships for each senior, $250, $500 each, and I was running low on the funds, so I started walking. And it's also part of my walks I put into the book about the journal. It goes back and forth from, what happened with my son and me becoming a teacher and my journey walking from, and I've walked from Santa Barbara to Torrance and, some of the things that happened. I just journaled and how it went through there. So it kind of goes back and forth. It was an idea after all these things happened. It was always inside of me. And I said, you got to get the story out. And I started writing things down, and I just jotting things down here and there about the stories and things like that. And then I put it together. And a friend of mine who was a writer kind of like helped me just put it all together to become the book. And that's how it came about.
So how long did that take you to get it published initially, from jotting down ideas to actually starting to write it?
Oh, shoot. I was probably like 10-year accumulation of things. I self-published it myself, and with her help, Taylor Bradley was a friend of mine who I did theater with, and she edited it for me and helped me kind of like put it together. But it was just like writings, and then waiting, and then writings, and then I started walking like 6 years ago. I do the scholarship walk, and I would put in things for like 3 years as accumulations of different walks and what happened on it, meeting people along the way, the journey there. So it was a good 10 years putting it together, and then just kind of like I published it in 2019, and it was in the summer, and it was a long journey just to put the book, the journey of my walks and the journey, me becoming a teacher and with my son Joel.
So when you started writing them down, was this a goal that you had, was to publish a book, or was it just something that you used to kind of help yourself out?
At first it was just to write things down and to kind of help me. But then I saw this could help, other people who've lost a loved one in their lives. And not only that, it's an inspirational story about how, the friends of Joel, went, basically carried his banner, and these kids played their hearts off in a Little League team for my son. It's a story of me, myself, with the love of my son, trying to get things so other people wouldn't go through what I went through. And then it's just a story of me, my trials and tribulations of trying to be a teacher. And so the accumulation of everything put together, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, and it's something to be proud of because it's a great book, and it helps out a lot of people, I'm sure, who read it. So I kind of want to unpack a little bit of what happened with the community and like the support you received, because at least as I know it, I perceive Moorpark as a very close-knit, supportive community. Mm-hmm. How did you feel their support after what happened?
Oh, right after it happened, I was numb, and I had neighbors and strangers from this town bringing me food for like almost a month. Friends of Joel's would come by and see how we were doing. It was just, and then also we talked about, I talk about a little bit in the book too, over Tierra Hada Bridge where the arroyo goes under. They kind of put a memorial with flowers, and it just grew with baseball flowers and pictures and everything, and that kind of grew. And it was just the whole town kind of looking after my family and myself after this happened. And also, I talked about the scholarship fund. They basically opened up an account and put money in this bank account to give to Laura and Ryan, my other son, to kind of help us through this, which I didn't know about. And so what I did with that money, or we did as a family with that money, we bought a new scoreboard for the Little League. We used to have like one of those scoreboards that you hang the numbers on. Well, we bought an electric scoreboard for the Little League. And it paid for my trip to go to Williamsport to support the kids during that time period. And then the rest of the money we put into a scholarship fund, which we gave out to graduating seniors. And like I said, it was starting to dwindle, and then that's when I started the walks, and people donated money for that. And we've been doing that since 1999. And we've given out over $20,000 to graduating seniors at Moorpark High School.
So when did you initially start the walks? Because I've seen you doing that for a while now, and they span for like weeks at a time, it seems like.
Yeah.
When did that initially come?
In 2016, it was the first time I walked for, basically for a scholarship walk so people could donate. 2015, I did it by myself because I just wanted to walk. And then somebody came up with the idea, why don't you do it for, a fundraiser? And I said, oh, that's a good idea. So 2016, I started in Santa Barbara Zoo, and I walked along the coast, and I ended up in San Pedro. I grew up in Torrance, which is a neighboring city of San Pedro. And I did it on purpose to kind of like go, okay, where I'm living now, to, my area around here, to where I grew up in Torrance. And besides that, I walked along the beach area, which I like to do. Yeah. So it's been since 2016. And it's I kind of cut it down. It was 135 miles. I've done that for a couple of years.
Wow.
And then the last 2 years, I kind of cut it down to 105 miles. I kind of shortened it up a little bit.
Yeah. And how has that grown for the past 4 years that you've been doing it?
Well, it's grown from people that have joined me on the walk for one of the legs of the walk, and it takes me 6 days to do it, and so they walk with me a day or just a few hours. It has grown because for some of the money, we had a website put up for Joel's, and people could donate on the website, so that's helped out too. And it's grown because every summer everybody expects to see it. And like I said, they've donated. We had shirts brought up for just Joel's Spirit Walk, and they had shirts they wore. I sold at the school and
nice,
along the way. So all of it's gone in, and all of the book, the donations all go into the scholarship fund, and it's grown. Like I said, it was down to like $500. I said, well, we may have to end this scholarship fund. And through all the donations from people, there was an article. One of the guys who's a writer from the LA Times walked with me from. I was in Santa Monica through Marina Del Rey, and he walked like 7 miles with me, and he did an article on it, and it's in the LA Times. And after that, people strangers, complete strangers, were just donating money to the cause. So I've got it up to like $20,000 now. And hopefully we will be able to do this for, more and more times, whether, if I'm around or not, who knows? Hopefully we keep this going.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, just the growth in such a short amount of time. And that brings up the next question for me is like, how far do you want to take this walk and the scholarship fund? I mean, what's the goal with it?
The goal at first was just to get for graduating seniors, but it has kind of grown a little bit. And I'd like to maybe expand it to maybe kids or families who've lost loved ones to kind of help them out also. Maybe help brothers or sisters who lost a loved one, help them out also. So I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of growing right now as it is. And I'm hoping we could take it a little bit further. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see how, as much as it's grown.
And how can people join you on these walks when you do them? I mean, what's the usual date frame that you do it from, and how can they find out where you are?
I usually walk at the end of July, and what you'll on the website www.myjourneywithjoel.org. I put when I start and each day where I'm going to be. And so if anybody would like to join, I also, we have if you want to get a hold of me, you can text me that way also on that walk. So I kind of first of all, on social media, we'll put it out there okay, the walk's going to be from this point to this point, and checked out the website for where I'm going to be. And like I said, 2 years ago, I had 35 people walk me at one time or another. walking along the way. So it's kind of grown, past students, past baseball players that I knew, and neighbors and friends and relatives.
Yeah. And that's amazing in itself, because that means you're keeping connections with all these past students that you've built a relationship with,
Yes.
and then they're supporting you in turn.
Yes.
So that kind of transitioned into, how did you become a teacher?
Well, and I wrote this in the book. After Joel passed away, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I had to change. I knew I had to do something. And after our Little League team went all the way to the Little League World Series and propped Joel, and mainly he was like a household name around this city, I knew I had to do something, and I didn't know what. And it was a year anniversary of Joel's death, and we had a service at Holy Cross Church in Moorpark. And one of our friends, at the end of the service, everybody would walk up, and we had like a little pie plate with a candle on it. And they lit the candle, and I walked out the church, and kind of like it was getting toward dusk, and I walked outside, and I walked over and kind of looked over deep in thought over Moorpark. And I turned around, and all Joel's friends, or all the kids, all were carrying candles, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. So you got to do something with kids. And I was a coach before that. I knew that I wanted to help and make an impact on our youth. So I said, all right, I'm going to become a teacher. And it was a tough journey. Like I said, good thing my wife had a good job. I could work part-time. I went and got my teaching credential. And I had been to, I graduated college in 1980, and here we are in 1997, 98. And it's been a long time I've been in school. Computers were now coming out, which I knew nothing about. And so anyway, and I had to pass and I put this in the book also, I had to pass a history test. And because my degree was in theater arts and a minor in history. They said, well, you have to pass this test before you can teach social science. So I did it the first time, and I missed it by 5 points. So I took it again, and this time I missed it by 8 points. So I figured, okay, I'm going to have to. So I studied, and I took it again. I felt pretty confident, but I felt pretty confident the first 2 times. And what happened was I was waiting for the envelope to come to see if I passed or not. And I was thinking, all right, maybe this is meant to be. I'm not going to be a teacher. So finally, when the envelope comes, I wanted to make a big deal out of it. I got into my car. I drove over to the bridge, the Joel Bridge that we had the city built over the Arroyo. And I opened up and I said I passed to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I cried a lot after that. But it's from there. I got a job teaching at Chaparral Middle School. I did that for 2 years. And then I came to the high school, and I've been teaching at Moorpark High School ever since.
And that's powerful. I mean, how long have you been teaching now?
This will be my 19th year teaching.
19 years. Yeah. And as I know you, you're a staple in Moorpark High School teachers, period. Like maybe the most popular, in my opinion, at least.
I don't know about that.
In my opinion.
Okay.
But how, was it Moorpark or nothing else, or did you apply other schools as well?
I wanted to give back to Moorpark what they helped me out after my son passed away, and me knowing the youth, I wanted to give back and make an impact on the youth. But like I said, the first 2 years I was teaching Chaparral, and then they gave me a pink slip. So I'm thinking, well, okay, and there was no openings at Moorpark High School. So I put my, in the Simi school district, in the Caneo school district, just in case I had to get a job. But luckily, a teacher left the district, and it was in social science, and it was almost like the month before school was going to start, and I got the job.
Wow.
So yeah, it was touch and go there for a minute, but then I said, okay, I want to stay here, but I can't. So yeah, I got that, and like I said, I've been teaching since 2003 at the high school.
And what was the first subject that you taught?
I taught geography, world history, and a U.S. history class.
So going from that, how did you transition to becoming the drama teacher?
Well, we had a drama teacher there, Mr. Steve Robertson, who was there he taught for like almost 35 years. He's been there. He was the staple on the theater, and he retired. And they just came to me and said, you're going to teach drama. I went, okay. So it was kind of at the start, I had to recruit people to get in the class because not a lot of people were signing up, and they were going to all right, well, we don't have enough people for this class. Yeah. So I recruited a lot of the guys that were in the football or baseball class because they knew me from my announced football. They knew me from my coaching baseball. And like my first class, I had a lot of athletes in there. And actually, it helped them too. I'd let them come back later in life and tell me, I'm glad I took that, drama class. It learned me how to speak in front of people.
Yeah,
it helped
definitely.
me. And then it kind of grew from there. And I taught the drama class, and I directed the fall play for almost 9 years.
Yeah.
And then I was too many things on my plate. So I said, okay, I'm going to just coach. And so this last year, I haven't taught drama in like 2 years now.
That's a bummer to hear, but I'm glad you're doing what's best for you. But to stay on the topic of drama, how did you I guess just becoming the drama teacher, was that all it took for you to take over the drama play that we did annually?
No, it was like, since he retired, that felt, I had to, okay, you're going to direct. And I'd never directed before. I was actor. I acted in a lot of different things. So I started with It's a Wonderful Life, as everybody may know, because the Christmas just passed.
Yeah.
And that was my very first play I directed. And I picked that one because I knew the story so well, and I said, okay, this will help me. And I learned along the way, and we just done some fabulous. I learned so much just by directing. In the students that I directed throughout the year, I still keep in touch with them. And then when I knew I was going to retire from at least the directing part of it, I said, I'm going to do It's a Wonderful Life. It'll be my last one. And I said, I'm a better director now, and I did that. So it was kind of like went with the territory. You're the drama teacher. Well, you got to direct the fall play.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad that you brought up bringing in the athletes. They came back and told you that it helped them later on in life, because I can't speak for everybody, but me taking your class personally definitely was beneficial in helping me get out of my shell. I mean, standing up and doing improv on a desk in front of all your classmates is a little scary at first. So was that challenging for you to be able to get kids out of their shells at first?
Yeah, it was kind of like I started this and I didn't know what direction I was going to go in. I knew that I wanted to do, I didn't want to do a whole year of just the drama. So I planned it. So the first part would be like speeches, but not like, big, long speeches. So as you know, I started off, like, okay, got to get your feet wet, go up there and tell a joke, tell a story, get up there, do a pet peeve speech. And the more and more, confidence people get talking in front of people, I knew, I saw this coming. We needed a business interview, how to do a proper business interview. And then we transferred into the drama class, which went in the second semester.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, all right, this worked, this doesn't work. Oh, ooh, the improvs, they like the improvs, so we'll do more of these. So it was kind of like, all right, that didn't work, and we'll do this. So it's kind of like just transformed into that.
Got it. And being like so social as you are and keeping in touch with all these students, it's always like amazed me. How do you remember everybody's names? I mean, you see thousands of kids.
Sometimes I don't, and sometimes I can tell. I can see the faces of the students, and then I'll think for a while, like, hey, how's it going? And then maybe 5 minutes later, it'll hit me. Oh, that's who that is. But yeah, it's a lot of teachers don't like to live in the towns where they teach the students, but I love it. I like seeing them, see how they're doing. And, and it's funny. A lot of us. I'll tell one story, and I told it in the book. I had a guy in my class, and he I think he was a C student, and he tried once in a while. I kept pushing him, come on, you can do better, you can do better. And he was a respectful young man, but he just never really applied himself in school. So 5 years go by, 6 years go by, and I did one of my walks, and I'm walking up, and there's an envelope hanging on my gate, and it's from him. And he wrote this letter about how he now has a son, and he read, about me losing my son, and he knew that he was in school. He, really didn't apply himself, but he wanted to donate, and he donated over $500 to the fund. And I read him his story and how I made an impact on his life. And sometimes as a teacher, you don't know that until later in life.
Yeah.
And it made me feel good.
And that actually brings up my next question is, how fulfilling has this job been for you? I mean, touching and affecting kids' lives in the way that you have.
It's helped me a lot. I went into this, try to make an impact on our youth, try to make a difference. And I think in doing so, the students themselves, the kids that I've taught, have helped me more so. I lost that with my son, and now here I put myself in being part of these students' lives and going through that, and it's helped me even more so than me helping them, I believe.
That's awesome. I mean, and is that one of the biggest reasons you stuck with coaching for so long?
Yes. Yeah, and coaching and my love for baseball.
Yeah.
And then you can get a little more closer to the kids that way too, because you're out there practicing every day and going at it as far as like in the classroom. And especially you see them in intense situations, in baseball, there's a lot of failure and you have to pick them up after that. And I've kept in touch with a lot of my students through the internet and through that, and it's it just being part of their lives has helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's super powerful. So obviously that was just, it seems like forever ago, but just a couple years back. We're still in normal times. Everyone's going to school. Obviously COVID's happening now. Mm-hmm. How has that affected you being such a hands-on teacher?
It was tough, especially at the start where I had to learn, because everything you had to change over. As a teacher, everything was online. Tests were online, your lectures are online, and me being like an ex-drama teacher, and I would dress up as characters in my history class. Yeah. That wasn't happening. So it was it's a tough transition, because I think school, especially with students, it's the interaction between the teacher and the student. It's not there online. Yeah, you can learn the material and go through and okay, I know that now and go on. But I think it's the interaction between the teacher and the student is being missed that way. Yeah. A lot of students, some of them turn their cameras on. You can see them on online. But you don't know what they're feeling, what I'm teaching right now. Are you getting it? You ask the question, but you really don't know.
Yeah.
In a classroom, you see she looks like he doesn't understand that. Oh, they're really enjoying this. Mm-hmm. So you miss that, and I think that's been tough. That has been really tough. And sports that way, sports was a big deal. Our baseball team, when we had the shutdown, we were like in first place and going in that got shut down, and a lot of kids couldn't play that way. So I think just the interaction, the human being, human touch between one another is missed because of that. But hopefully we'll get through this and we'll get back to real school.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you don't have to call anybody out, of course, but have you noticed it affecting the kids in your classes?
Yes, in some, I've noticed are down. Some are depressed because, let's say, you wake up, you take school, and you stay in your home. You once in a while, you probably get out in your backyard, maybe walk around the neighborhood, but that's about it. So I think being cooped up is kind of like, it's hard on kids.
I would 100% agree, because I mean, personally, going to school, the schooling was fine, but the part that everyone looked forward to, at least from what I noticed, is the social interactions. Yeah. And that's so impactful on a young kid's life, is actually getting that interaction. So I feel for them. But I mean, do you think it's going to get better? You kind of working out the kinks a little bit?
Yeah, it's getting better, because I'm getting more used to it, and hopefully the students will get used to it. But I'm hoping, with this vaccine and maybe, waiting this thing out, people, kind of like staying home for a while, and we'll get back to real school and hopefully, help us out.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I want you to shout out your book. Where can people find it? Where can they donate, buy it, everything?
Okay. The name of the book, My Journey with Joel, and it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but if you want to purchase it, you go to www.myjourneywithjoel.org. It's a website. You can purchase the book that way. I also did an audio part of the book, which actually one of my baseball players is into sound, and he actually hooked me up, and we did like a audio portion of the book. Nice. So that's on there also. And you can purchase the book that way, make donations that way, and if we do that, I mean, we can keep this thing going and kind of help our students, have a better future as they go into college.
Perfect. And just so we end on a high note, I want you, if you have something, put you on the spot a little bit. Do you have a favorite memory from your days coaching baseball?
Oh man. Well, I got to coach my son. Yeah. And that was a memory. And definitely that his senior year when he left, that brought a lot of tears. It's funny. I got to teach my son in U.S. history, and I got to coach him his junior year. I was the head JV coach, and then I got to coach him the varsity year too. That's a big memory. But there's another memory. I think it was in your year. The Jerry Sandoval was one of our coaches, and his son was a freshman at the time. both the head coach and Jerry Sandoval kind of like ganged up on me. He said, "Come on, Burchfield, you got to coach the freshman team." And I was kind of hesitant at first. And so I said, all right, I'll do it. And that year, that freshman year, we won the league. And so I kind of like grew with those kids and kept very close with those kids. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to go walk with a couple of them that are in college, come back for the break.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go, walk a little bit with them. And it was probably that my son, and in that year, and watching those kids, and when they were seniors that year, we took the league also.
I remember that.
And yeah, it was, but that group of kids was special to me too. And it, like, as first, I didn't want to do it as a freshman coach, but that year was just special.
Yeah. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Birch. Dan. Everybody watching, go purchase the book, donate to his charity scholarship fund, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.